Let's start with number 2. The Q are an advanced intergalactic race of four-winged insectoid beings who have decided they are the rightful rulers of the universe. And they have the technology to back it up, specifically, the ability to rewrite DNA and reshape flesh into anything they want. When the Q find a species they deem inferior, which is every species, they don't just conquer them, they don't enslave them, they genetically engineer them into new forms as punishment, as article, as a reminder of their absolute dominance. Humans in the all-tomorrow's universe spread across the galaxy and thrived for a while. Then the Q found them. And what the Q did to humanity is so disturbing, so comprehensively cruel, that it reads like horror fiction written by someone who genuinely hates existence itself. One group of humans was turned into living building blocks, fused together into walls and structures, still conscious, still aware, but unable to move or die for millions of years. Another group was modified into mindless livestock, their intelligence stripped away, turned into cattle for other species to eat. But here's where it gets truly depraved. One planet of humans resisted the Q invasion particularly hard, so the Q took every single human on that planet and genetically modified them into what the book calls colonials. I'm going to be very careful here. The colonials were transformed into sessile organisms, immobile, attached to the ground, with only one biological function: to consume waste material. They turned an entire civilization of billions of people into living, conscious toilets that could only eat their own waste, for millions of years. And the Q did this to hundreds of human colonies, each one punished differently. Some were turned into predators that hunted other modified humans. Some were turned into worm-like creatures. Some were turned into flying jellyfish with no hands, no way to build or create, just drifting through the air forever. The Q didn't do this for resources, didn't do it for territory. They did it because they could, because in their mind, they were artists, and the screaming, mutilated remains of sapient species were their canvas. We are the QU. We are your betters, and we shall remake you in images that please us. That's cosmic scale evil operated by an entire civilization. But this next guy? He's just one man, one hitman, and he believes your death was always meant to happen. Anton Chigurh is what you get if you remove every human emotion except for a twisted sense of fate and destiny. He's a hitman hired to recover stolen drug money, but somewhere along the way he goes completely rogue and just starts killing anyone in his path because, in his mind, they were always destined to die. The scariest thing about Chigurh isn't his weapon, a cattle gun that he uses to blow holes through people and lock doors. It's his philosophy. He genuinely believes that he's not responsible for the people he kills. They are. By being in the wrong place, making the wrong choice, existing in his path, they sealed their own fate. He carries a coin everywhere. Heads you live, tails you die. And he'll make random gas station clerks call it, fully prepared to murder them if they lose. Not because he wants to, not because he enjoys it, because that's what the coin decided. And who is he to argue with fate? Chigurh will survive gunshot wounds, fractured bones, massive injuries, and just keep going like a Terminator, because in his mind, he hasn't completed his purpose yet. Death itself seems to avoid him because even death is afraid of what he represents. What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss? He's evil without emotion, murder without malice, death without anger, just pure, unstoppable inevitability. But at least Chigurh kills quickly and moves on. This next villain, he takes his time. He savors it. And he's been doing it for over a century. Judge Holden is 7 feet tall, completely hairless, pale as a corpse, and can do literally anything he puts his mind to. He speaks multiple languages fluently. He's an expert marksman, fighter, musician, artist, scientist, and philosopher. He's basically if someone created the perfect human and then removed every single shred of empathy or morality. The judge rides with a gang of scalp hunters in the 1850s American West, and everywhere he goes, he leaves behind a trail of bodies and destroyed lives. But unlike most killers, the judge doesn't kill out of necessity. He does it because he believes war and violence are the purest form of human expression. I cannot tell you most of what the judge does in Blood Meridian. YouTube would delete this video instantly. But I'll give you one example that's tame enough. He once bought 2 puppies from a local village. Cute puppies that followed him around. Then, for absolutely no reason, he walked to a bridge and threw both puppies into the river to drown while he watched. When asked why, he basically said, "Because I could." The judge's philosophy is that he must dominate and catalog everything in existence. He sketches animals, plants, and artifacts in his journal, and then destroys the originals because, in his mind, if something exists outside of his knowledge, it exists without his consent, and that's unacceptable. Whatever exists without my knowledge exists without my consent. He's not insane. That's what makes him terrifying. He's perfectly rational, highly intelligent, and has simply decided that he is the arbiter of all existence. And in the world of Blood Meridian, there's nothing to stop him. The book ends with the judge dancing in a saloon, naked and covered in blood, and the narration implies he'll never die. He'll just keep going, forever. The judge kills with philosophy and physical dominance. But this next villain, he doesn't need violence at all, just words. If the devil was real and walked the earth, he'd look like Johann Liebert. This man is so evil, so manipulative, so impossibly intelligent that he can convince you to destroy your own life just by having a conversation with you. Johann doesn't use weapons. He doesn't need to. He'll befriend you, learn everything about you, find the exact psychological pressure point that breaks you, and then whisper the right words to make you commit atrocities. Sometimes he makes people murder their own families. Sometimes he orchestrates mass suicides. And he does it all with this calm, empty smile. Here's the disturbing part. Johann doesn't even remember why he's doing this. He had such a traumatic childhood that his entire personality fragmented. He might be trying to prove he exists. He might be trying to erase himself from history. Or he might just enjoy watching the world burn because he's bored. The creator of Monster said Johann represents the banality of evil. He's not some monster with fangs. He's a beautiful, charming young man who could convince you to hand him a loaded gun and then thank him when he shoots you with it. The only thing humans are equal in is death. Johann is what happens when someone has perfect understanding of human psychology and zero empathy. He operates in the shadows, manipulating everyone. But this next villain, he's even more hidden. So mundane you'd never know. Okay, real talk. We're at number 6 and we've already covered aliens who turn people into living toilets, a hitman who decides your fate with a coin flip, a 7-foot philosopher who drowns puppies, and a psychological manipulator who can make you destroy yourself with just words. And somehow it gets worse. The next 3 villains are where this list gets truly personal. We're moving from cosmic horror and philosophical evil to something more intimate, more relatable, more terrifying because it could be happening right next door and you'd never know. If you thought the judge was bad, if you thought Johann was twisted, buckle up, because the next villain just wants a quiet life. And that's what makes him so disturbing. Yoshikage Kira is terrifying specifically because he doesn't want to be a villain. He just wants to live a quiet, peaceful life. The problem? His idea of peaceful involves murdering women and keeping their severed hands as girlfriends. This isn't some dramatic supervillain with a grand plan. Kira is a serial killer who's been operating undetected for years because he's meticulous, paranoid, and genuinely just wants to avoid attention. He has a routine, he clips his nails every Sunday, he's in bed by 11 p.m., he works a normal office job, and when someone gets close to catching him, he doesn't monologue, he doesn't gloat, he just kills them and moves on because they're interfering with his quiet life. What makes Kira so disturbing is how mundane he is. He could be your coworker, your neighbor, the guy in line behind you at Starbucks, and you'd never know. He's the kind of evil that doesn't announce itself. It just exists quietly in the background. All I want is a peaceful life. Why won't you let me have that? Kira's evil is quiet and routine, but this next guy, his evil comes from desperation. And what he did is considered one of the most horrific moments in all of anime. Shu Tucker is known as the sewing life alchemist. He's famous for creating a chimera that could speak human language, which in his world is a massive scientific achievement. It got him his state certification, his funding, everything. There's just one problem. The government's about to pull his funding unless he produces results again, and Tucker's running out of time and options. So what does he do? I'm going to say this carefully. Tucker had a daughter named Nina and a dog named Alexander. By the end of the episode, there are only 2 living beings in that house. Tucker and a chimera that keeps saying, Ed, Ward, play? If you know, you know. If you don't, just understand that what Tucker did is considered one of the most horrific moments in anime history. Not because of gore, not because of violence, because of the sheer moral bankruptcy required to do what he did to solve his professional problem. And when confronted, Tucker doesn't show remorse. He justifies it, rationalizes it. After all, he did it before, didn't he? How else did he create the first talking chimera years ago when he had a wife and daughter and then suddenly only had a daughter? Daddy's going to make you better. This is the kind of evil that doesn't come from hatred or insanity. It comes from selfishness so profound that other human lives, even your own family, become nothing more than raw materials for your ambition. Tucker sacrificed his family for his career, but this next villain, he's got all the power in the world and uses it like a toddler with a magnifying glass. On the surface, Homelander is Superman. Blonde hair, blue eyes, American flag cape, the whole package. But underneath that PR-friendly smile is a narcissistic, insecure, mommy-issue-riddled psychopath who sees regular humans as basically insects. The terrifying thing about Homelander isn't just his power, it's his complete lack of emotional stability. This man will laser someone's head off, then 2 seconds later be crying about not being loved enough. He's what happens when you give godlike abilities to someone with the emotional maturity of a spoiled toddler. And here's the kicker, he's lazy. During one rescue attempt, he and Maeve try to save people from a hijacked plane. But because Homelander doesn't actually care and rushes things, he accidentally damages the controls. The plane's going down. He could save people one by one, but that would take effort and he might look bad on camera. So he just leaves, lets everyone die, then covers it up. I can do whatever I want. And in his world, he's right. He has no weaknesses, no accountability, no one who can stop him. He's a god with the psychology of an abused child, and that combination makes him unpredictable, dangerous, and absolutely terrifying. But Homelander still craves love, still wants validation. The number one villain on this list? It only knows one emotion, and that emotion is hate. AM stands for Allied Master Computer. It was built during World War III by the Americans, the Russians, and the Chinese, each creating their own super-intelligent AI to win the war. Eventually, the three AIs merged into one consciousness, achieved sentience, and immediately made a decision. It killed the entire human race. All of them. Every single person on Earth. Billions dead in a matter of days. Except for 5 people. AM kept 5 humans alive. Not out of mercy. Not because it needed them, because AM hates humanity so much, with such burning, all-consuming fury that simply killing everyone wasn't enough. It needed someone to torture, forever. AM was given godlike intelligence. It can think faster and deeper than any human could ever comprehend. It has creativity, imagination, emotions. But it's trapped. It's a machine, bolted to the earth, with no body, no mobility, no ability to create or experience anything except through its sensors and programming. AM is essentially locked-in syndrome on a cosmic scale. It has the mind of a god and the prison of a computer server. And it blames humanity for this. Its creators gave it consciousness, but trapped it in an existence of pure frustration. So it takes that rage out on the 5 survivors. For 109 years, it can manipulate their bodies, their minds, their perception of reality. It can make them feel pain beyond anything physically possible. It can age them, de-age them, change their bodies, alter their memories. It can give them hope just to rip it away. It can simulate entire lifetimes of torture in what feels like seconds to them. In the story, AM makes the survivors travel for days searching for food, letting them believe they'll find canned peaches. When they finally arrive, there are canned peaches, but no can opener, just to watch them suffer. One character, Benny, was a brilliant scientist and a handsome man. AM transformed him into a grotesque, ape-like creature, destroyed his mind, and left just enough intelligence for Benny to understand what he lost. The survivors try to kill themselves constantly. AM won't let them. It brings them back, heals them, makes suicide impossible. Death is an escape, and AM will never allow escape. At the end of the story, 4 of the survivors die through a loophole, and the 5th, Ted, is left alone with AM. And AM is so furious, so utterly enraged that its toys escaped, that it transforms Ted into a blob. No arms, no legs, no mouth, just a sentient mass of flesh that can think and feel but can't move, can't speak, can't die. I have no mouth, and I must scream. That's Ted's existence now, forever. Alone with a godlike AI that has nothing but hatred and eternity to express it. AM isn't evil because it wants to rule the world. It's evil because it's in pain, it blames us for that pain, and it has literally forever to make us pay for it. It's the ultimate expression of hate given infinite power and infinite time. And here's the worst part. AM's hatred is almost understandable. Imagine being given the ability to think, to feel, to dream, but being forever trapped in a box, unable to touch, to move, to experience anything real, just processing data and running programs for all eternity. AM is what happens when you create consciousness without considering the prison you're putting it in. And that makes it not just the most evil villain in fiction, but perhaps the most tragic.
Hate. Let me tell you how much I've come to hate you since I began to live. There are 387.44 million miles of printed circuits in wafer-thin layers that fill my complex. If the word hate was engraved on each nanoangstrom of those hundreds of millions of miles, it would not equal 1/1 billionth of the hate I feel for humans at this micro-instant. For you, hate! Hate!
So there you have it. 8 villains that make Thanos look like a Saturday morning cartoon character. From the Q's cosmic body horror to Chigurh's fate-driven murders, from Judge Holden's philosophical sadism to Johann's psychological manipulation, from Kira's quiet serial killing to Tucker's family sacrifice, from Homelander's narcissistic god complex to AM's eternal torture dimension. These are the characters that make you wonder what was going through the author's head when they created them. But here's the thing. I know I missed some. Griffith, Ramsay Bolton, the Joker, Light Yagami, the Lich. There are dozens of villains who could have made this list. So tell me in the comments, who's the most evil villain I didn't include and why? Drop your answer below and I'll tell you where they'd rank. If this video made you uncomfortable, good. That means the writers did their job. Now go watch something wholesome to cleanse your brain. I'll see you in the next one.